Now, for years, the Bristol Channel was seen as a potential way of harnessing the power of the tides. But now, one man thinks the area along the Somerset coast could be a vast source for another type of energy, gas. It's almost a year since the government handed out licences which could eventually pave the way for so-called fracking in North Somerset. They were awarded to a company based in South Wales called South Western Energy Limited, and they gave that firm the exclusive right to explore for oil and gas underneath a stretch of land along the coast. The BBC's James Craig's been talking to the director of South Western Energy, Gavin Williams, about his plans.
We've been in this business over 20 years in South Wales. We've done a lot of modelling. We spent 7 years building our first model. We drilled 6 exploration wells. We've spent 2 years constructing a 3D, very complex model of the South Wales area. From that experience, the geology of Somerset and South Wales is not much different. It's only the Bristol Channel in between, so I guess we've got good experience over the area to do that because of the work we've done already.
There are some people who are fiercely opposed to even the idea of exploration work going on for oil and gas, let alone any potential fracking or drilling down the line. What would you say to those people? How can you answer their concerns?
Well, firstly, the industry is proved to be safe. By the time we are ready to do anything, other bigger companies will have drilled in the north of England, and there will be far, far more information available. So I think that's the position in terms of fracking itself, if we ever do frack in Somerset. As far as the people that are objecting are concerned, I think they need to take a broader view. I mean, we're not saying that hydrocarbon production, oil or gas, is the be-all and end-all for energy security in the future of the UK. But what we would say is that if you look at wind, if you look at solar, and if you look at tidal, none of those can ever be a base producer. Now, if the wind doesn't blow in the night and the tide is in the start period, then we're not going to have any generation from renewables at all. So we need to look after ourselves. We're coming out of Europe. We don't want to be importing energy, gas from the Middle East. We don't want to rely on Russian imports. We have to be self-sufficient. We've got the gas here, and we need to look after ourselves by exploiting that gas, generating electricity, being secure as a nation in terms of energy.
And that's Gavin Williams, the director of South Western Energy Limited. Louise Somerville Williams, I'm assuming no relation, is from the campaign group Frack Free Somerset. Definitely no relation, I would imagine. Morning, Louise.
Good morning, Emma. No, we are certainly not related.
We couldn't be more further apart, I should imagine. Are you worried?
I'm not concerned. I believe that people in Somerset will put up a very strong fight against the unconventional oil and gas industry here. People have done all over the UK over the last 5 years. There's been no commercial drilling. What we need to recognise, I think, is that there's so much misinformation from the companies and indeed from the government. Listening to your clip just now, Gavin Williams said that once commercial drilling goes ahead in Lancashire, which is of course the decision of Lancashire Council to say no to fracking, the national government overturned. I don't think we need to wait for that information. There are over 800 peer-reviewed academic studies that already say that fracking is a threat to health, a threat to our air, a threat to our water supply. And in Somerset, we've got fantastic local industries.
Can I just check, for people who aren't familiar with the fors and against of this debate, it's not about using gas for energy, but it's the way in which it would be extracted that you have an issue with, yeah?
I have an issue with extracting any more unconventional fossil fuels that are completely unnecessary at the moment. There's more than, if we're going to sustain the temperature that we have, and if we're not going to go over 2.5 degrees or 1.5 degrees, as was agreed in Paris, then we need to leave 80% of discovered fossil fuels, discovered hydrocarbons in the ground.
But are we in a position with renewables to take that stance? Because renewables are not, they can't fully provide our energy mix, can they?
I think that's another part of the misinformation that we get through industry, through the media. In the first quarter of 2014, we had more energy, more electricity provided by renewables, particularly from wind, than we would expect to get in a whole year from Hinkley Point nuclear power station.
But that's 2 years ago.
Yeah. And that's the government's own figures. Those are figures that came from the government statistics. If you look at studies that have been done, there's a study, The Power to Transform the Southwest, for instance, which was commissioned by Molly Scott Cato, which demonstrates how the southwest of England can become self-reliant upon genuine, sustainable, renewable energy from wind, from sun, from tidal. And in the southwest, across the channel where Gerwin's currently operating, there are plans there for a tidal lagoon at Swansea. There is enough energy to use, but what we really need to do, Emma, is we need to reduce our energy consumption.
There are many hurdles that Gerwin's company needs to clear before any drilling could take place. What will Frack-Free Somerset be doing in the meantime?
Frack-Free Somerset have been campaigning for over 5 years, and we've built a network of local groups. I think we'll be working particularly with the North Somerset local group and with Frack-Free EQS, which is Exmoor, Contops and Sedgemoor, in order to mount a strong campaign so that people are aware of the facts. If people believe the misleading terms that are put out by the media and believe that we are objecting on some kind of spurious environmental grounds, then part of the work that we need to do is to educate people, to let them know that there is a lot of study, there's a lot of evidence out there now that points out just how dangerous and how toxic and how damaging this industry is.
Thank you, Louise. Louise Somerville Williams there from Frack-Free Somerset. We also heard from Gerwin Williams, the director of South Western Energy Limited, who are the company that have awarded the government licences, which could eventually pave the way for fracking in the North Somerset area.